Hello, hello, hello. We have a brand new story to read. We're going to be reading Faust by Goethe. This is 1925 translation, where it is a closet play. And I did not know this existed, but a closet play is a story which is written like a play. It's not written in prose, and for whatever reason, it's not meant to be performed. So there's some reason as to why you would make a play that is not performed, is just read as if it was a book, but it's not actually prose. Oh, heck. Did I save the wrong one? Yeah, so my issue with this one is that... Yeah, so this link that I had was on Wikipedia. And... No, not you. False. Oh gosh, this is this is embarrassing. Not this one. Was it this one? This is volume 7. What the hecky heck? This is awkward. I had a link and now it went away. What the heck? Let me look this up now. But yeah, so with Faust, it is the classic story of like the guy who sells his soul to the devil. And I don't really know much about it. All I know is that like Mephistopheles shows up, and apparently there's some like circumstance where, based on the different interpretations, he'll like ruin a woman's life sometimes. Sometimes he doesn't. What the hecky heck? Why is this? No. Like at this point, I'm just looking at other stuff. I'm trying to see if there's a different one for I could do, because otherwise I can't read. I found a separate one. Did they remove it? Or is it this one? I think it's this one. Right, so this is Faust. And there is, what is it? 230 pages? Like this is the other one. Yeah, this is like 240. And then this is the, okay, so. This is what I believe is. Now I have to double check the copyright on this because I don't want to read something that I can't read. This work is in the public domain because it was published before 1930. So this one is fine. I'm fine with this. Okay, so Faust. It is about a man who wants to be like famous. He wants to be a doctor, or he is a doctor, and he wants knowledge of the natural world and is willing to sacrifice his immortal soul for it. Isn't Mephistopheles a Tumblr invention? I don't know. Is it like Mephisto? Because that's like a Marvel character. Hey, I can. I honestly, at this point, I don't understand what this is. And I'm just going to kind of full send it, right? So Faust part 1. Wait. Faust part 1? Prelude at the Theater. Okay. So this has different characters. Jeebus crisp, dude. I'm gonna increase this a bit because it's just a central line of text. Okay. Are we ready to sell our soul? Because I don't know about you. I don't want to sell my soul. I am not open to being convinced otherwise, personally. However, I understand others may not share that sentiment. So with the Prelude at the Theater, the manager is speaking. Old friends and true, my proved allies, in times of trouble and of need, say how you think of our enterprise will here on German soil succeed. My aim and chief delight would be to please the crowd especially, as live and let live is their creed. But our booth is up, both wind and water tight, and all are looking forward as to a treat. For even now they sit with eyebrows raised, and quake for Marvel's prime to lift them off their feet. Well, now I know how to hit the public taste. You ne'er felt so perplexed as how I feel. 'Tis true they're not accustomed to the best, but then the rogues have read an awful deal. How to contrive then something fresh and new, to set them thinking yet amuse them too? Forsooth, it glads my heart the crowd to view, when setting towards our booth with stream-like rush, the poor alone wave coursing wave, and through the narrow doorway elbow squeeze and crush. When in a broad day, by 3 or even before, they make a dash at the pay-taker's wicket, like starving men that storm a baker's door for bread, their ribs imperiling for a ticket. This miracle on men so various may the poet only work. Work thou it, friend, today. So I suppose I should have picked up on the fact that there was going to be rhyme scheme. I wasn't expecting that. I've already sold my soul to content. No. I've sold my time. I've sold my attention. I've sold a lot of opportunities that I've had, but I haven't sold my soul to content. I wouldn't do that. That's just irresponsible. Oh, tell me not of yonder motley crew, which scares our spirit with its aspect coarse. Yon surging crowd, oh, veil it from my view, which in its eddies drags us down perforce. No, lead me to some heaven-calm nook, where true delight hath from the bard alone its source, where love and friendship wake, refine, expand our hearts blessing with celestial hand. What there has touched the spirit's inward ear, and on the lips a trembling echo found, uncertain now full, perchance, and clear, is in the wild world's dizzying tumult drowned. Oft only after throes of year on year, with perfect form our spirit's dream is crowned. The showy lives its little hour, the true after times bears rapture ever new. True to this pride of after times, were I of after times to babble thus, why who with fun with these of our present times supply, yet fun they will have, and with reason too, a jovial presence, readiness, address, go far, believe me, to command success. He that can put what he has got to say into the compass of a pleasant peace, and send his points home well, he may come what may, he will never be soured by into the compass of pleasant peace, and send his points home well, he, come what may, will ne'er be soured by popular caprice. He wants a large wide public for his sphere, there burns his genius with a tenfold arduous, for there he knows he's sure to catch their ear, to move them deeper, and to hit them harder. Coragio then, to work, and let them see the very type of what a piece should be. Fancy with all her ministering train, thought, reason, feeling, passion, melancholy, make these to speak, each in her proper strain. And last not least, forget not, mark me, folly. Jeez. I like the rhyme scheme. It's not iambic pentameter or anything, because like, the very type of what a piece should be, fancy with ominous or intrigue. Yeah, like that's not iambic pentameter, so it doesn't have the same flow as you would from like a Shakespeare sonnet. However, it has the rhyme scheme, so it's very pleasant to listen to, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really sure what's happening. Although given that this is the prelude at the theater, this strikes me much as like a Greek chorus setting up the story, particularly because like the Merriman is talking about folly and how Faust is a story of folly. That implies that Arrow has a license to sell human body parts. Yeah, and I stopped listening to Butcher Vanity because like I got out of the mood of it and I started listening to other songs. And then now last night I listened to Butcher Vanity by Yishi for like 6 hours. Because what I'll do is when I have a song in my head, I will just put it on loop and I will have it on in the background while I'm doing something else for hours. And hours and hours and hours. And so I was just like working on the TTRPG stuff last night for at least 4 hours. And I had a like 2-minute 30 song on repeat the entire time. Some would call it madness. I just call it, I don't know what I call it. But be sure, whatever else you may, enough of incident into your play. Plenty to look at, that's what people like. 'Tis what they come for, dazzle them, their eyes. With bustle, with bustle, plot, spectacle, things that strike the multitude with open-mouthed surprise. Superb, sublime, they cry. What breath, what power! And you become the lion of the hour. Only by mass can you subdue the masses. A sop for every taste, for every bent. He that brings much brings something for all classes, and everybody quits the house content. If you're to give a piece, in pieces give it. With a rage out like that. With a rag out like that, succeed you must. So to serve it up so quickly, just as easy anyhow as to invent it. In one organic whole, though you present it, harmonious and compact, it little matters. The public's sure to tear it to tatters, blur every tint, and every joint unrivet. You do not know how all unworthy is such vulgar handicraftsman work as this, how little consonant with every aim that spurs the genuine art on to fame. Mere paltry patchwork, gaudy and unreal, run up at random by bungling fool. Alas, too well I see is your ideal, approved by choice and justified by rule. Okay, so the manager is saying, like, just figure it out, it's gonna be easy, serve what they want, put it, like, patchwork together, brute force it. The poet's like, no, it needs to have heart to it, it needs to have soul, it needs to have a meaning behind it. Rail on, I care not how you thrust. Are we getting 17th century yaoi now? Did I accidentally find myself even more yaoi in classic literature? Or, I think it's 16th century yaoi, because the original was in like the 1500s. And then this translation, I think, is from like 1920. Rail on, I care not how you thrust. Wherever would work to purpose must, choose tools at best his purpose fit. Think what soft wood you would have to split, and only look for whom you write. One comes to seek a brief respite from ennui, if he can, of vapors. Another stupid from a heavy meal, and what is worse than all a deal, scores fresh from reading magazines and papers. They rush to us as to a masquerade, quite quite in the queue for dissipation, and the mere prospect of a new sensation wings all their footsteps man and maid. The ladies, in their best arrayed, think only how to catch the eye, and with our own performers vie, themselves performers, though unpaid. You poet dreamers, you soaring high, oh, they're appropriate, very. Zounds, do you fancy these will ever draw a bumper house and make it merry? Regard your patrons closely. Why, they're one half cold, the other hurrah. One's longing for the play to end, though he may have his game of cards in quiet. Another eagers to be off, to spend the night upon a wench's lap in riot. Why, yes, then, ye simpletons, for such a pack, put the sweet, gracious muses on the rack. I tell you, only give enough to hear and see, no matter what the quality may be, and you never miss your mark. Contrive to keep folks' curiosity alive, their senses stun and mystify their brains, to satisfy them's more than man can do. How? What's amiss? Are these poetic pains or stomach qualms that have got a hold of you? Straight bars! Sorry. Imagine you're in a rap battle with someone and you just hit them, and you just hit them with that. Regard your patrons closely. Why, they're one half cold, the other raw. One's longing for the play to end, though he may have his game of card in quiet. Another's eager to be off spend the night upon a wench's lap in riot. Why then, ye simpletons, for such a pack, put the sweet gracious muses on the rack. Like, someone's just telling you how gangster they are, and trying to tear you down and make themselves look tall, and then you just whip out something that they're gonna think is Shakespeare, and then you can say, it's not even Shakespeare. It's more modern than that. Be gone, and seek elsewhere some other man, lackey in soul, to work on such a plan. What, shall the poet fool at thy behest the right way? 'Twere sin if he forsook his human heartedness, the noblest, best endowment which from nature's hand he took. By what stirs he all hearts as by a spell, and makes them quail, or at his will be strong? But why does he each element compel, to lend some fresh enchantments to his song? Oh, is it not the harmony that rings from his full soul with unconstrained art? And circling around creation's orbit, bring the whole world back in music in his heart. When nature winds her endless thread along the spindles, heedless how they cross or jangle, when all created things a jarring throng, in chaos intermingling, chaos and jangle, who parts them, till each living fiber takes its ordered place, and moves in rhythmic time? Who in the general consecration makes each unit swell the symphony sublime? Who links our passions with the tempest glooms, our solemn thoughts with twilight's roseate red? Who scatters all the springtide loveliest blooms along the path that loved ones designed to tread? Who of some chance screen leaves Who of some chance green leaves doth chaplets twine of glory for desert in every field, assures Olympus, gives the stamp divine, man's power immortal in the bard revealed. To work then with these powers so rare, and ply your task of bard and singer as people push a love affair. Oh my gosh. They meet by accident, are smitten, linger, and get themselves somehow into a tangle. All's love and bliss, then comes a tiff, a wrangle. In heaven 1 hour, the next, despair, distraction, and presto, lo, a whole romance is in action. After this fashion, let us too construct our peace, but see that you go straight to all the stir and strife that agitate our human life. All have it, but not many know it. Get a hold of wherever you will, it all in all its motley mixtures show it, and it is interesting still. A medley give of personages, wheeling neath impulses half seen, half hid from view, with much that's false to nature and to feel, mixed here and there a spice of something true. So you being famous, beverage compound, to rouse and edify all the house around, then to your play throngs youth's prime flower, intent to see its future there made clear and plain, then tender souls from it seek nourishment, to feed with all their melancholy vein. Call up now this, now that, love, hate, mirth, rage, despair, and all with them behold what in their heart they bear. They still are of that happy age, when they are equally prepared to laugh or weep. They still can find a pleasure in display, still reverence bold imagination sweep. He that is past his growth, hard, formal, set, there's no contenting him, however you sing. The young, with all their growth before them yet, will thank you heartily for all you bring. Then give me back too the days when I myself like them was growing, when forth gushed thronging lays and lays, as of a fountain ever flowing. When to my wondering eyes the world as in a veil of mist was set, and every bud gave promise yet of marvels in its leaves uncurled, when swiftly sped the happy hours, as roaming like a summer gale, I plucked at like the thousand flowers that blossom thick through every vale. Not had I then, yet had in sooth such wealth as nothing could enhance, the thirst unquenchable for truth, the blessed delusions of romance. Give each bold impulse back to me, the deep wild joy that thrilled like pain, the might of hate, love's ecstasy. Give me my youth again. Of youth, good friend, you would have need, no doubt, if foes on battle plain were round you pressing, if some fond wench had flung her arms about your neck and plied you hard with her caressing, if from a far-off goal, nigh out of sight, the wreath for him that wins the prize were blinking, if, after dancing madly half the night, you settled down to spend the rest in drinking, but on the lyre's familiar string to lay, your grasp was masterful, yet sweet control, and there's meandering gracefulness to stray on to your shining self-appointed goal. This is the vocation is of you old fellows, nor do we therefore prize you less, my friend. Age does not make men childish, as folks tell us, if only finds them children to the end. Wait, why does that go kind of hard? Age does not make men childish, as folks tell us, if it only finds them children to the end. So the current discussion going on, there's one more. I'll just do that one first. Enough talk! At all events, I fain would see you upon in doing. When you are turning compliments, something to the purpose might be brewing. While I speak of waiting for the moment, wait, and 'twill never come at all. You set up for a poet, good! Then hold your poetry at call. You know the article we want, a drink strong, sharp, and stimulant. So get to work, and brew away, for well we wot, and to our sorrow. That's what's not set about today, is never finished on the morrow. No man of sense will waste in such, delays 1 hour, 1 single hour, he will by the forelook clutch whatever lies within his power, stick fast to it, and neither shirk, nor from his enterprise be thrust, but, having once begun his work, go working on because he must. On German stages one expects, vagaries wild and daring, so of mechanical effects, and gorgeous scenery not be sparing. Turn on heaven's greater light and less, be lavish of the stars withal, fire, forest, sea, crag, waterfall, birds, beasts into your service press. So, in this narrow booth sweep round, creation to its farthest bound, and, with such speed at best will tell, from heaven post through the world of to hell. Okay, so, this is setting up the story, and there's this three-way argument between the manager, the poet, and the merriment. The manager is saying you need to just spectacle them. You need to have it be loud. You need to have it be in their face. You need to surprise them. The manager is Michael Bay. Then you have the poet who says, no, you need to be on the human experience. You need to focus on the awful things in life, the melancholy and the sadness, and think about all the terrible things of the human condition, is an emo hot boy, is Edgar Allan Poe. And then you have the Merriman, who's just like, nah, like, let them enjoy themselves. Like, talk about a fun romance, talk about fun, talk about folly and comedy. So you basically have action versus drama versus comedy, right? And they're all just kind of arguing about the virtues of what they're going through with the understanding, and they're all like hyping up what the play is going to be. Which I imagine means that this is going to be a play that focuses on action and drama and comedy. Perhaps. Because that's what prologues tend to be. Definitely not what I was expecting. I don't know. When I heard it was a closet play that was like, you read it, even though it's not prose, I wasn't quite expecting this rhyming cadence, but it's fun to read. It makes it more confusing, but it's also fun. Yeah, the Lord, the heavenly host, afterward Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles is part of Faust. The three archangels come forward. The sun in chorus, as of old, with brother spheres is sounding still, and on its thunderous orbit rolled, doth its appointed course fulfilled. The angels, as they gaze, grow strong, though fathom it never may be. Those works sublime, untouched by wrong, are bright as the primal day. And swift beyond conceiving strike, the earth is wheeling onward. Mark! From dark to light its surface shift. From brightest light to deepest dark. In foam the sea's broad billows leap, and lashes the rock with giant force. And rock and billow onward sweep, with sun and stars in endless course. And the battling storms are raging high, from shore to shore, and radiate currents as they fly, that quicken earth through every pore. These blasting lightnings scatter fear, and thunders purl, but here they lay their terrors down, and Lord revere the gentle going of thy day. Just imagine I'm saying this 3 times at once. The angels as they gaze grow strong, yet fathom thee that they never may, and all thy works untouched by wrong are bright as on the primal day. Since thou, O Lord, amongst us comest once more, to ask how things are getting forward here, and thou hast commonly been kind before, I at thy levee with thy rest appear. I can't talk grandly, not through these fine folks, should all upon my homeliness cry scorn. My pathos surely would thy mirth provoke, if thou hadst not all merriments forsworn. Mephistopheles is so backhanded. My pathos surely would thy mirth provoke, if thou hadst not all merriment forsworn. Of sun and worlds I have nothing to say. I only see how mortals fume and fret. The world's small god retains his old stamp yet, and is as queer as on the primal day. He had been better off, hadst thou not some faint gleam of heavenly light into him put. Reason, he calls it, and doth yet become more brutish through it than the veriest brute. He seems to me, if I my thought may state, one of those grasshoppers, with legs elonged, that flies and leaps and flies again, and straight down in the grasping it pipes its old song. If it to the grass he kept, his grief were less, but he will thrust his nose in every dirty mess. Oh, this is just straight up like the Lord. Hast thou, then, nothing else to say but this? Comest thou ever only to complain? Art thou with nothing upon earth content? You know, I should have seen this coming of the Lord being depicted in this story about like the battle for one man's soul, but it's very amusing to me that Mephistopheles goes up to heaven, insults like the 3 angels, and then also God directly, and then the Lord is just like, comest thou ever only to complain? Art thou with nothing upon earth content? I need to add to my standard rotation. Let me send this to a friend. I need to add to my standard rotation of comebacks Just, hast thou then nothing else to say but this? Comest thou ever only to complain? Art thou with nothing upon earth content? Sorry, I had to send that to a friend. No, Lord, I find things there as ever much amiss. Men and their troubles cause me genuine pain. Not even I would those poor souls torment. Dost thou know Faust? What, Dr. Faust? My servant. Thy servant? Well, his service may be fervent, but it's surely of the strangest kind, not upon earth the fool is he, content his food or drink to find, craving for what can never be, yet scarce to his own madness blind, he would be soaring far and free, in hopes to clutch immensity. From heaven he asks its fairest star, from earth its every chief delight, yet all that's near and all that's far, although they lay within his might, would never yield the looked-for zest, nor still a torturing tumult of his breast. Thou know he served me stumblingly, the hour's night when I shall lead him into light. When the tree buds, the gardener knows the flower, and fruit will make the coming seasons bright. What will you wager? If you only let me lead him without hindrance my own way, I'll answer for it, you shall lose him yet. So long as on the earth he lives, you may your snares for him and fascinations set. Man, while his struggles last, is prone to stray. For this you have my thanks, for I protest that with dead men I never cared to deal. Plump, rosy cheeks are what I like the best. When corpses call, I'm out. Forsooth, I feel, like cats with mice, 'tis life that gives the zest. Okay, why is Mephistopheles so... I'm getting diva vibes from Mephistopheles here. Enough, 'tis granted. From the source where he his being had, the spirit turn aside, and lead him, if thou art able, down with thee, along thy way that pleasant is and wide, and stand abashed, when thou art forced to own, a good man, in the darkness and dismay of powers that fail, of purposes o'erthrown, may still be conscious of the proper way. Good! But at rest the point will soon be set. I'm not at all alarmed about my bet. If I should win and crow too loudly, you will not amiss my little triumph take? Dust shall he eat, aye, and with relish too, like that old cousin of mine, the famous snake. As to this, also, thou art wholly free. Hate have I never felt for such as thee. Among thy spirits that deny, the scoffer doth offend me least of all. Who many of man's activities rely, into indulgent ease till apt to fall. Whatever his beginnings, soon he grows to yearn for unconditional repose, and therefore am I always glad to yoke in fellowship with him a comrade, who is ever ready to incite, provoke, and must as devil be stirring such as you. But ye true sons of heaven, rejoice to share the wealth exuberant of all that's fair, with which lives and has its beings everywhere, and the creative essence which surrounds and lives always and worketh evermore, encompasses you within love's gracious bounds, and all the world of things which flit before, the gaze and seemingly fitful and obscure, do ye in lasting thought embody and secure. Heaven closes, the archangels disperse. The old one now and then I like to see, and not to break with him take special heed. 'Tis very good of such a great grandee, to be so civil to me, 'tis indeed. I kind of love Mephistopheles. He's so, like, backhanded and scheming, and, like, I get such Saturday morning cartoon villain from him, and I love it. Like that's one of Saturday morning cartoon villains who are evil for the sake of being evil is not someone that I like to write or run, and I feel as though in stories, I prefer when they have some degree of depth. But, like, Mephistopheles out here is literally, like, smack-talking the Lord, and then leaves heaven and rubs his hands together. It's like, haha, how fortuitous of me. It's so silly. A lofty, vaulted, narrow Gothic chamber. Faust, seated at his desk. And so clearly what that was is that, the conversation was between Mephistopheles and God. Mephistopheles was there to complain, and basically was like, hey, a little bit like the devil in the Book of Job, from my understanding, was just like, hey, I bet I can corrupt Faust. And what I got is that the Lord was basically just like, no, you won't. It is the nature of man to stray, but because he is a servant of mine and because I am like all benevolent or whatever, even if he does stray, I will still accept him. So you have no power over him. But any of the living you are able to attempt to bring down to your domain. And then Mephistopheles is like, Pog. All the philosophy can teach, the craft and... What's a good voice for him? What if I give him like a... All that philosophy can teach, the craft of lawyer and of leech, I've mastered on, sweated through, theology's dreary deserts too, yet here, poor fool, for all my lore, I stand no wiser than before. They call me magister, save the mark, doctor withal, and these 10 years I have been leading my pupils a dance in the dark, uphill, down dale, through wet and through dry, and yet that nothing can ever be, by mortals known, too well I see. This is burning the heart clean out of me. More brains have I than all the tribe of doctor, magister, parson, and scribe. From doubts and scruples my soul is free, nor hell nor devil has terrors for me, but just for this I am dispossessed of all that gives pleasure to life and zest. I can't even juggle myself to own there's any one thing to be truly known, or ought to be taught in sciences or art, to better mankind and to turn their hearts. Besides, I have neither land nor pence, nor worldly honor nor influence. A dog in my case would scorn to live, so myself to magic I've vowed to give, and see if through spirit's might and tongue, to the heart from some mysteries cannot be wrung, if I cannot escape from the bitter woe of babbling of things that I do not know, and get to the root of these secret powers which hold together this world of ours, the source and centers of force explore, and chaffer and dabble in words no more. Oh, broad bright moon, if this might be the last of the nights of agony, the countless midnights these weary eyes have from this desk here watched thee rise, then sad-eyed friend, thy wistful looks shone in upon me o'er papers and looks. But oh, might I wander in thy dear light, o'er the trackless slopes of some mountain height, round mountain caverns with spirits sail, or float o'er the meads in thy hazes pale, and freed from the fumes of a fruitless lore, bathe in thy dews and be whole once more. Ah, me, my penned in this dungeon still, a cursed dog-hole, clammy and chill, where heaven's own blessed light may pass, shorn of its rays through the painted glass, narrowed and cumbered by piles of books that are gnawed by worms and grimed with dust, and which, with its smoke-stained paper, looks swathed to the roof in a dingy rust, stuck round with files and chests untold, with instrument littered and lumbered with old, crazy ancestral household ware. This is your world, a world most rare. And yet, can you wonder why your wood is number within your breast, and why dead, dull anguish makes your whole life pulses falter and ebb and die? How should it be but so? Instead of the living nature, whereunto God has created man, things dead and drear atone encompass you, smoke, litter, dust, the skeletons of birds and breasts, and dead men's bones. Up, away to the champagne free, and this mysterious volume, writ by Nostradamus' self, is it not guide and counsel enough for thee? Then wilt thou learn by control the stars within their orbits roll, and if thou wilt let boom nature be the guide and monteresses to thee, thy soul shall expand with tenfold force, as spirit with dark holds discourse. Dull pouring, think not, that can here expound these holy signs to thee. Ye spirits, ye are hovering near, if ye can hear me, answer me! Throws open the book and discovers the sign of the macrocosm. Ha! As it meets my gaze, what rapture, gushing through all my senses, mounts into my brain. Youth's ecstasy design, I feel it rushing, like quickening fire, through every nerve and vein. Was it a god who chronicled these signs, which all the war within me still, the aching heart with sweetness fill, and to mine eyes, in clearest lines, unveil all nature's power as well as mystic thrill? Am I a god? All grows so bright. In these pure outlines I behold, nature at work before my soul unrolled. Now can I read the sage's saw aright. Not barred to man, the world of spirits is. Thy sense is shut, thy heart is dead. Up, student lave, nor dread the bliss, thy earthly breast in the morning red. Gazes intently at the sign. Into one whole now all things blend, one in the other working, living. What power celestial, lo, ascend and descend, each unto each, the golden pitchers giving, and wafting blessings from their wings, from heaven through furthest earth career, while through the universal sphere, one universal concord rings. Oh, what a show! Yet but a show! Ah, me! Where, boundless nature, shall I clutch at thee? Ye breasts, where are ye? Ye perennial springs of life, whereon hang heaven and earth, whereto the blighted bosom cling. Ye gush, ye slake all thirst, yet I pine on in death and dearth. Turns leaves the book angrily and sees the sign of the earth spirit. How differently I feel before the sign. Earth spirit, thou to me art nearer. My faculties grow loftier, clear. Even now I glow as with new wine. Courage I feel, into the world to roam, to bid earth's joys and sorrows hail, mid storms and struggle to make my home, and in the crash of shipwreck not to quail. Clouds gather o'er my head. The moon conceals her light, The lamp's gone out. The air grows thick and cold. Red flashes play around me. From the vaulted roofs a shuddering horror creeps, and on me lays its gripe. Spirit by me invoked, I feel thou art hovering near. Thou art! Unveil thyself! Ha! What a tugging at my heart! Stirring through their depths, my senses reel with passions new and strange. I feel my heart is thine holy, here! Thou must! Aye! Thou hast cost my life! Thou must appear! Seizes the book and utters the sign of the spirit mysteriously. A red light flashes, in which the spirit appears. Who calls on me? Dread vision gone! By potent art thou'st dragged me here. Thou'st long been sucking at my sphere, and now I loathe thee! Hence, avaunt! To view me were thy prayer and choice. To see my face, to hear my voice. Well, by thy potential prayer won o'er, I come, and thou that wouldst be more than mortal, having thy behest, art with a craven fear possessed. Where's thy pride of soul? Where now the breast which in itself a universe created, sustained and fostered, which dilated great throes of rapture, in the hope as peers with spirits come to me to cope? Where art thou, Faust, whose summons rang so wild, who stormed my haunts and would not be denied? Is this thing thou? This my mere breath doth make? Through every nerve and fiber quake, a crawling, cowering, timorous worm. Thou film of flame, art thou a thing to fear? I am that Faust, I am thy peer. In the currents of life, in action storm, I wander and I wave, everywhere I be. Birth and the grave, an infinite sea, a web ever growing, a life ever glowing. Thus at times whizzing loom I spin, and weave the living vesture that God is mantled in. Thou busy spirit, who dost sweep from sphere to sphere, from deep to deep, ranging the world from end to end, how near akin I feel to thee. Thou art like the spirit, thou dost comprehend, but not like me, vanishes. But not like thee? Whom then? Would I, the image of the deity? Yet not to be compared to thee? O death, my familus, at time like this to drag me from the top of bliss, that such a soulless driveler should disturb this vision's full beatitude. I gotta start calling stuff beatitude. Enter Wagner in his dressing gown and nightcap with a lamp in his hand. Faust turns away impatiently. I heard you, did I not declaim, from one, no doubt, of the old Greek plays? So in the art to take a hint I came, for it is much in favor nowadays. Many a time I've heard it said at least, an actor might give lessons to a priest. Yes, if the priest an actor may be, as now and then will happen certainly. Ah, when one's in his study pent like me, and sees the world but on rare occasion, and then far off on some chance holiday, and through telescope as one may say, one can only hope to sway, or govern it by eloquent persuasion. That is a power which is not to be taught. It must be felt, must gush from within, and, rising to the lips in words unsought, the hearts of all to deep emotion win. Sit on forever, till you ache, your patchwork and mosaics make, with scraps at others' banquets found, a rag out of your own compound, and, blowing at your ash heap, fan what miserable flame you can. Children of apes must praise your art, a noble triumph you must own, but you will never make heart throb with heart, unless your own heart first has struck the tone. Delivery make the orator's success. In that I'm far behind, I must confess. Scorn such success. Play thou an honest game. Be no mere empty, tankling fool. True sense and reason reach their aim, with little help from art or rule. Be earnest, then what need to seek the words that best your meaning speak? Oh, your orations garnished, trimmed, and refined, tickling men's fancies when they're chiefly weak, are unrefreshing as the drizzling wind, that though the autumn sear leaves whistles bleak. Ah me, art is so long and life is so brief, oft in my labors critical, a load seems weighing on my brain and heart like lead. How hard it is, almost beyond belief, to get at knowledge in its fountainhead, and ere a man is halfway on the road, he's very sure, poor devil, to be dead. Is parchment then the sacred fount can give, the stream that shall allay thy thirst forever? Man never quaffed a draught restorative, that from his own soul welled not. Never. Excuse me, surely 'tis a joy sublime to realize the spirit of time, to see how sages long ago have thought, and the high past to which things nowadays are brought. High past, yes! Oh, as the welcoming high, my friend, to us they are, these times gone by, a book with 7 seals, and what you call the spirit of the times, I have long suspected, is but the spirit of the men. That's all. in which the times they prate of are reflected. And that's a sight, God wot, so poor, so mean, we are run away from it, as soon as seen, mere scrapes of old odds and ends, old crazy lumber and dustbins only fit to rot and slumber, at best a play on stilts, all strut and glare, Gewgaws? Gewgaws and glitter, fustian and pretense, with maxims strewn a sage pragmatic air, that, mouthed by puppets, pass with fools for sense. Aye, but the world, the heart and soul of man, something of these may sure be learned by all. As men call learning, yes, no doubt it can, but who the child by its right name will call? The few who something of that knowledge learned, and were not wise enough to keep a guard to keep on their full hearts, but to the people showed the reach of their soaring thoughts, the deep emotions that within them glowed. Men at all times have crucified and burned. I prithee, friend, 'tis far into the night, and for the present we must say adieu. What is this? Whenever a great soul gives utterance to its thoughts... What? Oh, but that's a reference that I don't care about, respectfully. I'll gladly watch till dawn for the delight of such most edifying talk with you. Tomorrow being Easter Day. Oh no. Tomorrow being Easter Day. Good sir, if I so far might task you, some things there are, which I should like to say, some further questions I should like to ask you. My zeal hasn't in my studies not been small. Much as is true, I know, but I would not fain know it all. Exit. Strange that all hope has not since long since blighted in one content of such mere chaff to feed, who digs for treasure with a miser's greed, and if he knows such muckworm, is delighted. Dare such a thing as to babble now, when all around with spirit life is teeming, yet I thank thee, though the sorriest thou of all that tread the earth in mortal seeming, thou resurrected me from the despair that fast was wilding in my brain with mad surmise. Yonder vision was so of giant size, I shrank before it to pygmy size. I, God's own image, I, who deemed I stood with truth eternal full within my gaze, and of this earthly husk divested, viewed in deep contentment heaven's effulgent blaze. I, more than cherub, whose free powers methought did all the veins of nature permeate, I, who so portently my fancy wrought, conceived that like a god I could create, and in creating taste of bliss supreme, how much I expiate my frenzied dream. One word that smote like thunder on my brain swept me away to nothingness again. I dared not dream myself for thee appear, though to evoke thee I the power possessed, yet was I impotent to keep thee here. Oh, in the rapture of that moment blessed, I felt myself so little, yet so great. But thou didst thrust me back with cruel scorn upon the sad uncertainties forlorn of man's mere mortal state. Who is to teach me? What shall I recoil from? What go wildly by? Yon impulse, passionate, profound, shall I obey it or forswear? Alas, our way of life is cramped and bound. But what do we do? No less than what we're doomed to bear? Around our spirit's dreams, our noblest, best, some base alloy for ever clings and grows. One of the good things of this world possessed, we call a better wealth, but lying shows. The glorious feeling, those that most we prized, that made indeed our very life of life, in the world's turmoil and ignoble strife, are seared and paralyzed. If fancy for a season flushed with hope, though boundless either soars with wings unchecked, a little space for her is ample score, when in time's quicksands joy on joy lies wrecked, anon creeps care into our nether heart, and there of secret sorrows breeds great store, uneasily she sits, and mopes apart, marring our joy and peace and evermore, fresh masks she dons, to work us bitter dole, turns where we will, she haunts our life, as house and land, as child and wife, as fire and flood, as knife and poison bowl. I am not like the gods, too well I feel. No, like the worm that writhes in dust am I, of which, as it feeds on dust, the passerby stamps into nothingness beneath his heel. For what but dust? Mere dust is all, which, piled in endless shelf and pressed from floor to floor, contracts his lofty wall. The trash, all frippery and emptiness, which here in this moth-swarming hole, cramps, cabins, and confines my soul. How shall I ever discover what here the light and lore for which I yearn is all my pouring year by year on books by thousands, but to learn that mortals have been wretched everywhere, and only once been happy here and there. What, hollow skull, what means that grin of thine, but But that thy brain was once like mine distraught, did after truth with rapturous passion pine, and, while the radiance of the day is sought, grew at each step less certain of its way, and in the twilight went disastrously astray? Ye instruments at me, ye surely mock, with cog and wheel and coil and cylinder. I at the door of knowledge stood, ye were the key which should that door for me unlock. Your wards, I ween, have made many a cunning maze, but yet the bolts ye cannot raise, inscrutable in noonday's blaze. Nature lets no one tear the veil away, and what herself she does not choose unasked before your soul to lay, you shall not wrest from her by levers or screws. Old lumber that has never been used by me, the reason and the only thou art here is that my father works of yore with thee, and thou, old roll, hast rotted here and mouldered, seared with the fumes of smoke year after year, since first upon this desk and the dull lamp smoldered. Oh, better far had I with hands profound squandered the little I can call my own. Then with what little here to sweat and groan, would you possess, enjoy, and turn to use what from your sires you have inherited, what a man owns, but knows not to employ? A burden is that weighs on him like lead, naught can avail him, naught can he enjoy, save what it is by passing moment bred. Why is my gaze on yonder corner glued? Yon flask, is it a magnet to my sight? Why is all once as lovely, bright, as sudden moonshine in a midnight wood? All hail, thou priceless phial, which I here take from my shelf with reverential hand. In thee man's skill and wisdom I revere, thou quintessence of all the juices bland, that drowse the brain with slumber. Abstract thou of all most subtle deadly agencies, bestow thy grace upon thy master now. I see thee, and my anguish finds a balm. I touch thee, and the turmoil turns to calm. My soul's flood tide is ebbing by degrees. A viewless finger beckons me to flee to shoreless seas where never tempest roars. The glassy flood is shining at my door. Another day invites to other shores. A car of fire, by airy pinions driven, flits o'er me. I stand prepared to flee by tracks untrodden, through the wastes of heaven, up to new spheres of pure activity. This life sublime, this godlike rapturous thrill, can these by thee, a worm but now, be won? Yes! So thou turn with resolved will thy back on earth, and on its kindly sun. The gates most men would slink like cravens by. Dare thou to burst asunder. Lo, the hour is here at hand by deeds to testify. Man's worth confront the gods in all their power, to gaze unblenching on that murky pit where fancy weaves himself in endless doom, to storm that pass whose narrow gorge is lit by hellfires flickering through the ghastly gloom, serene, although the risk before thee lay, into nothingness to melt away. Blank nothingness. Then come thou down, pure goblet crystalline, out from the time-stained covering of thine, where I unmarked for years have let thee rest. Thou sparkled, with my grandsire's feasts were crowned. Thou sparkled when my grandsire's feasts were crowned, litst upon the smiles of many a sad-browed guest, as each man to his neighbor passed thee round. Thy figures, marvels of the artist's craft, the drinker's task to tell their tale in rhythm, and drain thy huge circumference at a draught. Bring many a night back of my youthful prime. I shall not pass thee now to comrade boon, nor torture my invention to explain the quaint devices of thy graver's brain. Here is a juice intoxicate full soon, its current brown brims up thy ample bowl. Now do I pledge this nut draught, my last best care, in festive greeting with all my soul, to the day dawn shall hail me otherwhere. Raises the goblet to his lips, pealing of bells and choral song. Christ is ascended, hail the glad token, truth was spoken, sins fettered are broken, man's bondage is ended. Chorus of angels. What deepening hymn is this? What silver chime drags from my lips, perforce the cup away? Ye booming bells, do you proclaim the time once more begun of Easter's festal's day? And you, ye pealing choirs, do you the songs of consolation and glad tidings chant, hymned round the sepulchre of my angels' throng, pledged by a new and nobler covenant? With myrrh and with hellos, we balmed and we bathed him, loyally, lovingly, tenderly swathed him, where cerecloth and band for the graves we arrayed him, but oh, he is gone from the place where we laid him. Christ ascended, the love that possessed him, the pangs that oppressed him, to prove and to test him, in triumph have ended. Ye heavenly stairs, potent so soothing, why seek ye out me, a crawler in the dust? Ring out for men more pliant souled than I. The message that I hear, I lack the faith robust. Faith's darling child is miracle. I dare not strive to mount to yonder spheres, where peal these tidings of great joy to men. Yet does the strain, familiar to mine ears from childhood, call me back even now to life again? And then I felt the kiss of heavenly love on me in Sabbath's holy calm descending. The bells rang mystic meanings from above. A prayer was ecstasy, that seeming it ended. A longing sweet, that would not be controlled, drove me through the field and wood, and from my eyes, whilst tears, whose source I could not fathom, rolled. I felt a great glad would for me arise. This anthem heralded youth's merriment time, the gambols of blithe spring, now memory sweet, fraught with the feelings of my childhood's prime. From the last step decisive stay my feet. Oh, peal, sweet heavenly anthems, peal as them. Tears flood mine eyes. Earth has her child again. Wish I could stay, but I have to go to work. But I wanted to stop by and say I'm so excited for you to read one of my favorite stories. I feel like you also said that about King in Yellow. I'm glad that like my taste in classic literature seems to align with my audience's. He that was buried on high has ascended, there lives in glory sublimely attended. In heaven whilst he reigneth, for us who he was slain here, on earth we his chosen, to suffer remain here, to suffer in language miss pain and a joy. Lord, in our anguish we envy thy joy. From the lap of corruption, lo, Christ has ascended. Rejoice for the fetters that bound you are rended. Praise him unceasingly, love one another. Break bread together like sister and brother. Preach the glad tidings to all who will hear you. So will the Master be ever more near you. Okay, so Act 1, Scene 1. Faust immediately is down the deep end. This isn't even like, oh, it's a slow descent over time. It's just straight up. Sorry, I yawn and I stretch. My back. So, Faust instantly corrupted. Faust, without any pause, instantly gone. Like, he is hearing the chorus of angels, the chorus of disciples, the chorus of, like, heavenly bodies. He saw a spirit appeared before him and didn't once think to consider, if spirits are real, and I can hear the distant choir of angels, maybe that means heaven and hell are real. And maybe that means that I should live a life in accordance to go to heaven because it's literally real. Although, I did think to myself that it strikes me that the classic devil deal is described like a warlock, like in D&D. But Faust strikes me as a wizard. Faust strikes me as someone who is very high intelligence, very low wisdom. They are someone who thinks that they're the smartest in the room because they are very smart, but they don't have the worldliness. They don't have the empathy to connect with others. They don't have the social relatedness in order to actively connect with their fellow man. Therefore, they turn to higher powers, thinking themselves above it. The power fantasy of a wizard going mad with power is a very common one. And I would almost go so far to say is the classic wizard going mad with power is probably based off of Faust, which I think it's so weird then that devil deals is seen as a separate thing, because this strikes me very much as like a wizard more than anything. Before the town gate, promenaders of all kinds pass out. But why are you turning up the hill? Where the Jägerhaus are bound. We think of sauntering towards the mill. Best by the Wasserhof go round. The road there is none of the prettiest. And where are you for? I go with the rest. Come up the Bergdorf. There's this place where one is sure to find the best of cheer, the prettiest wenches and the strongest beer, and a good jolly row in any case. You pestilent space grace, a third time do you want to be well whacked? I don't half fancy going there. In fact, I have a perfect horror of the place. I'll go back to the town, I will. That's flat. We're sure to find him at the poplars yonder. And much the better I shall be for it. But whose side will he walk, I wonder? Why, yours, and dance with you and you alone. And while you have your frolic, I may moan. Okay, first off, chill. Second off, NTR? He's sure to have a friend, and come now, do. We said the curly locks were coming too. Zounds! How these strapping girls step out. Come, brother, come, let's join them for a bout. A beer that stuns, a pipe that bites, and a wench in her bras are my delights. And these fine young fellows, look where they go. 'Tis a downright shame when they might know the best of company if they please, to be running after such drabs as these. Not quite so fast. Behind us yonder see a brace of wenches rigged out smart and neat. One lives alone, almost next door to me, and on the girl I'm very sweet. For all they're looking so demure, they'll take us with them presently, I'm sure. No, all prudes are bores. Quick, come away, or we shall let the game slip. 'Tis confessed, the hand that twirls the mop on Saturday fondles on Sunday with particular zest. Holy, forgot how wild on Maine classic literature was. Also, prudes are not bores. Prudes? Okay, so if someone is a prude through and through, yes, they're probably a bore. However, if someone is a prude in public and in private, they're not a prude, they're probably even freakier than someone who is openly comfortable with that through and through. Because if you're open with it through and through, first off, respect. Second off, you are someone who, you're probably not hiding much. If anything, you're probably going to be a bit tamer in private. Because if you're comfortable with it, it's who you are. You might play it up outside because it's just kind of become part of your personality and people typecast you as it. So the conversation surrounding you implies that it's a greater part of yourself than it actually is. But if you're a prude outside and you're not a prude inside, freak behavior. What, our new burgomaster? Nay, he is a man I cannot bear. He grows more overbearing every day, since he was called into the chair. And what, pray, does he do for this town? Are things not daily growing worse? Are we not more and more kept down and pulled more and more at the purse? Kind sirs and ladies fair and sweet, with rosy cheeks and handsome dresses, look down upon me, I entreat, observe and listen my distresses. In pity listen to my voice, free hands make merry hearts and gay. So make this day with all rejoice, to me a very harvest day. There's nothing more on my heart on Sunday cheers or holidays than a gossip about war and warlike rumors. Than the peoples far away in Turkey, we are all by the ears. We, by the window stand, toss off our glass, and down the river watch the painted vessels gliding, then home at evening merrily we pass, and bless the comforts of a peace abiding. I, neighbor, nor care I what lengths they go. Zounds, they may cleave each other's pates, they may, and though the whole world topsy-turvy so, they leave these things here at home to jog on the old way. Hey day, how smart, the pretty dears. Who'd not be fairly spintin' now that met you? You needn't be so haughty though, God what you desire, I know the way to get you. Come, Agatha, I'd rather not be seen to greet a witch like you upon the street, but on St. Andrew's Eve she let me see in flesh and blood my lovers that's to be. Mine too, she showed me in the glass, a soldier, one of daredevil's set. Here, there, all wheres I seek him, but alas, I have not come across him yet. Towns with loud defiance set, down with the tower and battlement. Maidens rosy as the morn, flashing around them looks of scorn. These alikes of us have charms, sound alike to cry to arms, when such glorious prizes call us, death nor danger can appall us. When we hear the trumpets blow, on to death our bliss we go. What is like the soldier's trade? What can match such escalade? Forded towns and maidens tender, much alike to us surrender. Don't like that. When such glorious prizes call us, death nor danger can appall us. Maids or widows may be sighing, on we march with colors flying. Freed from the ice, our river and rill, by the quickening glance of the gracious spring. Green with promise our valley and hill, old winter palsied and shivering. Back has crept to his mountains bleak, and sends from them as he flies appalled, showers of impotent hail, to streak the fields that are green as emerald. But the sun no shimmer of whiteness brooks. The earth is through all her pores alive, budding, bursting, and all things strive to enliven with colors on their wintry looks. And that landscape, though bare her flowers, makes cheer with people dressed out in their holiday gear. Turn round, and from this height look down over the vineyards upon the town. A motley medley is making its way out from the murky wide mouth gate. Blithely they bask in the sun today. The Saviour's rising they celebrate, but they have risen themselves, I ween. From the close, damp rooms of their hovels mean, from the bonds of business and labor and care, from the gables and roofs that oppress them there, from the stifling closeness of street and lane, from the church's gloom-inspiring night, they have all emerged into the light, but see how they are spreading amain, across the gardens and fields, and how the river, as far as the eye can note, is all alive with shallop and boat. And look, The last departing now, laden so deeply it scarce can float. Far up on the hill as the pathways run, gay dresses are glittering in the sun. Hark now the din of the village, here is the people's true heaven. With hearty glee, little and great, how they shout and cheer. Here I am man, here such there be. To walk about with you, Sir Doctor, so is honour, yea, and profit. Still, were I alone, I would not be here loitering thus, I own. Seeing of all the course I am the foe. Your fiddling, shouting, skittle playing, all are noises which I loathe and quite resent. These creatures rave as if devil drove, and call their riot song forsooth and merriment. Peasants under the linden tree. Song and dance. I don't know, the amount of singing in this is not something I was expecting. I'm not singing. The shepherd for the dance we dressed, all tricked out in his Sunday best, with ribbons gay and sightly, thronged round the linden lass and lad, and all were dancing there like mad. Huzzah! Huzzah! Hip hip! Huzzah! The fiddle bow went sprightly. Into the thick of them he paced, and clipped a damsel round the waist, his arms around her bending. The buxom wench turned round and said, "You stupid oaf, where were you bred? Huzzah! Huzzah! Hip hip! Huzzah! Your manners, sir, want mending." But faster grew the fun and right, and left they wheeled it was a sight, to see the kirtles flying, and they grew red and they grew warm, and then they rested arm in arm. Huzzah! Huzzah! Hip hip! Huzzah! Such panting and such sighting. Hold off your saucy hands, you men are all deceit and falsehood when you find a girl undoubting. But he coaxed her, and she stepped aside, while from the linden echoed wide, Huzzah! Huzzah! Hip hip! Huzzah! The fiddling and the shouting. Sir Doctor, this is kind of you, to think no scorn of us today, and you such a grand scholar too, to mix with simple folks this way. Here, take this jug, 'tis handsome ware, nor is the liquor of the worst. I pledge you in it, with the prayer, it may not only quench your thirst, but that each drop within it may add to your life another day. Right, gladly, I obey your call, and drink, with thanks, good health to all. The people round him gather in a circle. Indeed, this is most kindly done, to mingle in our mirth today. Ah, sir, you stood our friend in times, but when we were anything but gay. There's many a hale man standing here, your father rescued from the clutch of raging fever, when he stayed the plague that wasted us so much. Though but a lad from house to house, you sought the sick and dying too. They bore out many stark and stiff, but nothing ever ailed with you. Your trials were many and sore, you bore them with a spirit brave, and the great Savior of us all saved him that lent a hand to save. Healthy to the trusty friend, and may he live to help us many a day. To him above be homage prayed, only be paid, who only counsel can or aid. Walks on with Wagner. What must ye feel to think, illustrious man, this crowd reveals you with a love so deep? Oh, happy who from his endowments can so fair a harvest of advantages reap. The father points you to his son, the people whisper, crowd and run, the fiddle stops and lad and lass break up the dance midway to stare. They stand in rows for you to pass, their caps flying up into the air, upon their knees they drop, almost as if though it were the passing of the host. Some few steps farther up yonder stone. Here we will rest and taste the evening air. Ofttimes I sat here wrapped in thought alone, and racked myself with fasting and with prayer. Brimmed full with hope in faith unwavering, by tears and sights and beatings of the breast, from the great Lord of heaven I sought to wring cessation from that devastating pest. Like mockery now rings yonder crowd's applause. Oh, could you look into my soul, and read how little worthy son or father was, of such repute as they to us decreed? My father was a good man, not too bright, who, by strange notions of his own deluded, in all good faith with patience infinite, on nature and her sacred circles brooded. Who shut himself with his adepts away in a laboratory, black, grim, and mystic, and fused by rule and recipe, things that by nature are antagonistic. The lion red, a bold wooer, bolder mate, in tepid bath was to the lily married, and both were they then by open fire flamed straight from one bride chamber to another harried. Thus in due time the youthful queen, inside the glass retort, in motley colors covered, there was a mediocre, the patients died, and no one thought of asking who recovered. So amongst these hills and vales our hell broth wrought more havoc, brought more victims to the grave. By many than the pestilence had brought, to thousands I myself the poison gave. They pined and perished, I lived on, to hear their reckless murderers praised far and near. But why let this distress you? Why? Can any honest man do more than conscientiously ply his craft as by its masters plied before? If you, as youth, revere your father, you of course accept him for what he can teach. If you, as a man, see farther, wider too, your son in turn a higher mark may reach. Oh, happy he who still can hope out of the sea of error to arise, we to long what lies beyond our scope, yet cannot use even within it lies. But let us not, by saddening thoughts like these, the blessing of this happy hour o'errun. See how they gleam, the green grit cottages, fired by the radiance of the evening sun. It slopes, it sets, day wanes, on with a bound it speeds, and lo, a new world is alive. O God, for wings to lift me from the ground, onward, still onward after it to strive. Beneath me, I should see as I pressed on, this hushed... Beneath me, I should see, as on I pressed, the hushed world ever bathed in evening's beams, each mountain's top on fire, each vale at rest, the silver brook glowed in golden streams. Nor peak nor mountain chasm should then defeat my onward course so godlike and so free. Lo, with its bays all winkling in the heat, burst on my wonder-smitten eyes the sea. But now, the god appears to sink, fresh impulse stirs me, not to be confined. I hurry on his deathless light to drink, though days before me, the might behind, the heavens behind me, the waves below, a lovely dream. Meanwhile, the sun his face has hid. With the spirit's wings, no corporeal wings so readily keep pace. Yet is the yearning within us all inborn, upwards and onwards to be struggling still. When over us we hear the lark at morn, lost in the sky her quivering carol shrill. When o'er the mountain's pine-clad summits drear, the eagle wheels afar on outstretched wing. When over flat and over mere, the crane is homewards laboring. I too have often had my whims and moods, but never was such an impulse stirred. A man soon looks at his fill of fields at woods, and the wings I ne'er shall envy of a bird. How differently the spirit's pure delights waft us from book to book, from page to page. They give a beauty to the winter's nights, a cheerful glow that can its chill assuage. And some fine manuscript when you unroll, and then all heaven descends into your soul. One only aspiration thou hast known, never seek to know the other, never. Two souls, alas, within my bosom thrown, that each from other fiercely long to sever. One, with a passionate love that never tires, cleaves as with cramps of steel to things of earth. The other, upwards through the earth's mist aspires, to kindred regions of a loftier worth. Oh, in the air its spirit be, the float twixt earth and heaven, and lord it there. Then go your golden haze descend, and me far hence to fields of new existence bear. Yes, if a magic mantle were but mine, to stranger lands to want me of call, I'd prize it more than robes of costliest shine. I would not change it for a monarch's pall. The too familiar throng invoke not, who, in trailing vapors spread upon the wind, come trooping from all quarters, where they brew innumerable plagues and perils for mankind. The sharp-fanged spirits of the north, lo, they come rushing down on you with arrowy tongues. Those of the east, they parch you dry as hay, and suck a slow nutrition from your lungs. If from the desert sands from the south sends out those that heap fire around your brain, the west brings those that first refresh, no doubt, but end with drowning you, and field and plain. They watch our every word, our mischief bent, obey each wish, yet turn them all awry. They look as if from heaven expressly sent, and lisp like very angels when they lie. But let us go, the earth is wrapped in gray, the air grows chills, the mists are falling, 'tis evening makes us prize our home. But hey, why stare you thus, as some sight appalling? What in the dusk there fills you with such trouble? Interesting. So the spirits of so Wagner is basically warning, like, hey, spirits will pretend to be angels. You should not listen to them. But I'm wondering, this is just a minor thing. Is there an association which each of the four elements with the four cardinal directions? Because west is water because it drowns you. South is fire because it burns you. I assume east is earth because it parches you dry, and then north is wind, like air, because it rushes you down with arrowy tongues. I don't know. I just thought that little comparison was interesting. I'm gonna drink some water. I'm glad that after the prelude, it is now much more comprehensible. It's still, I'm not gonna lie, some of these some of these paragraphs, like the verses, I have read them, I have finished reading them, and I did not process a single word that I said that entire paragraph. I'm just kind of going with the flow. I'm lost in the sauce. However, not all of them. Seest thou yon black dog coursing through the stubble? I saw him long ago, but he did not the least. Observe him well. For what takest thou the beast? Why, for a poodle, trying to hark back in dog-like wise upon his master's track. See how he doth in spiral circles make a circuit round us, wheeling nigh and nigher, and after him, it can be no mistake, there follows as he runs a trail of fire. Not but a coal-black poodle can I see. It must be some optical illusion be. To me it seems that round our feet he draws fine magic toils to snare us fast and faster. Round us he runs perplexed and shy because he sees two strangers here and not his master. The circle narrows. He touches us almost. 'Tis a mere dog you see, and not a ghost. He growls, hangs back, lies down, begins to whine, waggles his tail. All practices canine. Here, go along with us. Come hither, come. A merry beast it is, and frolicsome. Stand still, and he sits up and begs. Speak to him, and he jumps upon your legs. Lose anything, he'll find it for you quick, and leap into the water for your stick. Thou art right. I find not a spirit here. One single trace, 'tis training all that's clear. Faust is very mouse. Listen, the Faust in a mouse. The dog, if well brought up, may be, even for the sage good company, your favor, possibly your thanks. He certainly deserves to earn. The students, sir, have taught him all these pranks, which he has shown much aptitude to learn. They pass in at the gate of the town. Okay, so Faust says he has two souls within him. One of which is constrained to the earth and is to help people and is like his human self. And the other is for greater purpose, has a connection to the spirits. He has the strive for magic. Faust, up until now, has literally said he is a god. Also, how many... So we have... So sorry, let me just check. I can do all of Act 1 today. So I can do the prologue, the prelude, the prologue, and Act 1. And then next stream I can do Act 2. The stream after that, I can probably do half of Act 3 and then another half of Act 3 on another stream, and then I can finish Act 4 and then Act 5. So that'd be like 6 streams total. Hi, I can't say I just want to pop in. Well, enjoy, and I hope that you enjoy the VOD if you come by. Or if not, then enjoy your day. Faust is so silly. Yeah, I might just divide it based on acts. That seems most simple. Because it's also only been an hour, and I've gone through 4 of these. I've gone through the prelude, the prologue, scene 1, scene 2, so if I could go through scene 3, I can wrap up Act 1. I imagine Act 1 is probably going to end with him selling his soul, because, like, this is all set up, no? But yeah, Faust study, entering with the... Oh, he just took the poodle. He just stole a man's dog. I didn't realize that's what Wagner was suggesting. Like, he said, like, come here, come here. Did you just steal a man's dog? Maybe you do deserve to go to hell. Faust, entering with poodle. Meadow I've left, and dale and hill, in night's deep gloom arrayed that wakes within us, with a solemn thrill, the mood which most of heaven partakes, with each wild desires lulled to rest, that rent the heart or rack the brow, the love of man now fires the breast, the love of God is kindling now. Peace, dog, be quiet. Your restlessness wearies. Why sniff you so at the threshold there? Down, stir, behind the stove. See, here is the best of my cushions, to make you a lair. We did not object to your coursing and leaping. It served to amuse us up there on the hill. But if you are to remain in my keeping, you must learn, like a well-mannered guest, to be still. Okay, first off, Faust, you literally said earlier that a dog would not enjoy living with you. Second of all, that's not how you treat a dog. Dogs don't respond well to just being told to sit still. Third off, you are absolutely the sort of person to be like, oh my gosh, I want a pet. And then you get a pet and then you don't know how to take care of them and you mistreat them. And then after a week, you just leave them. And you're awful and you deserve everything bad that's happening to you. Ah, when within our narrow room the friendly lamp again is lit, then from our spirit flies the gloom that dulled and overshadowed it. Reason begins once more to speak, and hope again to plume her wings, and life's streams we pant, yes seek, the very fountain whence it springs. Cease, dog, to growl. The brutish sound jars within the hallowed tones that all my soul at the sweet hour enthrall. We think it not strange, when men around deride the things they comprehend not, and all that is fairest and best contemn, for how should such things their vile nature offend not? Would the hound be snarling at these like them? But I feel, strive as I may, that peace which will well forth from my bosom nevermore, yet wherefore should it stream so quickly cease? And we lie, parched and panting as before. So oft have I been doomed thus low to fall, yet for this one Yet for this want we may have compensation. We learn to prize the supernatural, and cry with yearning hearts for revelation, which nowadays burns more worthily and clear than all through the New Testament. So here I turn to the primal text, elate with a wild longing, line for line, the great original divine, into my own dear German to translate. Opens the volume and prepares to write. In the beginning was the Word, 'tis writ. Here on the threshold I must pause, perforce, and who will help me onward in my course? No, but by possibly it isn't fit. I should the naked word so highly rate. Some other must I the word translate, if by the Spirit rightly I be taught. In the beginning was the sense, 'tis writ. The first line ponder well. Is it the sense which is of created thing the primal cause and regulating spring? It should stand thus, in the beginning was the force. Yet, even as I writ, I pause, as something warns me this will not content me. Lo, help is from the Spirit sent me. I see my way with lightning speed, the meaning flashes on my sight, and with assured convictions thus I write, in the beginning was the deed. My chamber, if you wish to share, this howling poodle straight forbear, this barking and this riot, to brook a comrade so unquiet is more than I am able. Here, both of us cannot remain, and though it goes against my grain to be an inhospitable, there's the door, and you are free to go. But what is it I see? How can such transformation be? Is it a real thing, or throws some glamour over me it spells? How long and broad my poodle grows! It rises, it dilates and swells. This is no dog. What can it be? This fiend I've brought home with me. Now, with his fiery eyes and rows of horrid teeth, he shows like any hippopotamus. Ha! Now I know you. Is it thus? For such a half-hell begotten brood, the seal of Solomon is good. The poodle was a demon? Talk about a hellhound. Thank you. Thank you. So what I'm hearing is that in the future, anytime I run a hellhound, I need it to be just a black poodle. Once we know well is caught fast within there. Mind what you're doing, no one go in there. An old lynx of hell, like a fox in a gin. There's quaking and stewing. Have a care, have a care. Unseen through the air, flit ye and hover, to and fro, round about, now under, now over, and he will get out. Aid him all, if aid ye may. He has done us ere today, pleasures manifold and rare. Help him then, in his despair. To grapple with the monster I, the spell of the four at first will try. Salamander he shall grow, into streams undying flow, vanish self and kobold double, shall his turmoil be in trouble. If a man know not the lore of the elemental four, the power of each and property of the words of spirits, he never will the master be. Hence as he came, in flash and flame, salamander, flow out and be seen, a rushing stream undying, blaze on the air, meteors fair, sylph, us with the timely help befriend, incubus, incubus, come forth, and make an end. No one of the four is lodged in the beast. 'Tis plain I have not touched the case. Quite still he lays, and grin on in my face. His withers I have not wrung in the least. Now shall ye hear, whatever ye are, conjure with a spell more potent by far. Comest thou here from hell's confine, a fugitive? Behold the sign, holy emblem, neath whose power all the fiends of darkness cower. Its bristles rise. Behold it now that monstrous size dilate. Thou thing accursed and reproachable, canst thou read the holy token? Him that never was create, him that never may be spoken, all from sky to sky pervading, vilely done to death degrading. Spellbound, behind the stove it stands, and like an elephant expands. It fills the alcove up complete, into a mist 'twill melt complete. Ascend not to the ceiling, lay thyself down at thy master's feet. Thou seest, I threaten not in vain. I'll scorch thee upon with holy fire, for the dread light best not remain, which burns with threefold glow. Retire, no wait till I, thou spawn of hell, let loose upon thee of my mightiest spell. Comes forward as the mist subside, in the dress of a traveling scholar from behind the stove. What is the use of all this mighty stir? Can I in anything oblige you, sir? So this, then, was the kernel of the brute, a traveling scholar? Here's a pleasant jest. You learned worship humbly, I salute. You gave me a fine sweating, I protest. What is thy name? Methinks the question's mean, for one who holds the word so very cheap, who, scorning all mere semblances, has been brooding on things in their quintessence deep. Of gentlemen like you one may, the nature mostly from the names surmise, where what ye are they all too plainly say, when the destroyer style you, fly god, prince of lies. Speak then, who art thou? Part of the power that still produces God, while still devising ill. A rare enigma, say what it implies. The spirit I that evermore denies, and rightly am I thus employed, for surely naught was e'er begot, but it deserved to be destroyed. So were it better, things should not be into being brought at all. Thus all these matters which you call sin, mischief, evil, in a word, are my congenial element. I heard you call yourself apart, yet see you stand there whole as whole can be. Truth, truth, I vow all truth and modesty. Though man, that microcosm of folly, seem a perfect whole to his own self-image. Myself, I, being less pretentious, call part of the part, which at the first was all. Part of the darkness, from whose womb sprang light, proud light, which now doth with its damned contest her ancient rank, the space she filled outright, and yet it can't succeed, for strive its best, it cleaves to bodies, fettered to them fast. It streams from bodies, makes them fair and bright, a body intercepts its passage, so I hope, when bodies come to grief at last, it will with them to sheer perdition go. You high vocation now I understand, you find you can't annihilate wholesale, so on a smaller scale you try your hand. And let me own to very small avail, that which is nothing's opposite, this something, this great lumbering world, although I've launched at it with all my might, storm, deluge, earthquake, levin brand, I can't effect its overthrow. It hangs together still, good sea and land, and then these misbegots accursed, this spawn of brutes and men, alas, defy me, let me try my worst. How many have I sent to grass? Yet young fresh blood, do I will, keeps ever circulating still, in water, in the earth, in air, in wet, dry, warm, cold, everywhere, germs without number are unfurled, and but for fire and fire alone, there would be nothing in the world that I could truly call my own. So that cold devil's first of thine, thou dost not scruple to oppose to the unsleeping powers benign, beneath whose breath all lives and grows, it laughs to scorn your threats malign. Strange son of chaos, hast thou not best stark upon another tack? It certainly is worth a thought, but more about this when I come back. But for the present, here I leave your leave to take myself away. Why you should ask, I can't conceive. We're strangers from this hour no more. So visit me in future, pray. Just when and how the fancy strikes you. Here's the window, here the door, and there a chimney if it likes you. I'd very quickly make my exit, but that a trifling hindrance checks it. The wizard's foot, alas 'tis true, upon your threshold. Ha! 'Tis well, the pentagram perplexes you, but answer me, thou son of hell, if that can thrust you backward, how contrived you to get in but now? How came a spirit so astute to tumble into such a snare? You'll find, if you look closely to it, it is not drawn with proper care, the outer angle is incomplete. You may discover at a glance, the lines converge, but do not meet. That was indeed a lucky chance, so you should be my prisoner then, most rare good fortune, truly. When the poodle bounded in, he took no heed of what he was about. Now things wear quite another look, the devil's in, and can't get out. Why through the window not withdraw? Of fiends and goblins, 'tis a law. Get in however they please, but so as they came in, out they must go. Free in the first choice, in the last, we're very slaves. So even hell has got its legal code. 'Tis well, then with your gentlemen, a fast and binding contract may be made. Aye, and implicitly obeyed. Whatever is promised you by us, you to the letter shall enjoy, without abatement or alloy. A theme too grave this to discuss, so hurriedly, when next we meet, we'll talk it out fully. But now, I beg, nay, earnestly entreat, this once you'll let me make my bow. One moment, by your leave. I burn for such rare news as your must be. Let me go now, I'll soon return, and then ask what you like of me. Of choice, and not by my device, you ran yourself into this plight. Once catch the devil, hold him tight. He'll scarcely let you catch him twice. Well, if you wish it, here I stay. Mephistopheles, you're playing him like a fiddle. Like, this is the classic, you know what? Maybe I'll let you think about it. I'll just go. I don't need to give you my sales pitch. Turn around and the other person's like, wait, no, I'm interested. And Mephistopheles is playing Faust like a fiddle. I don't even know if Mephistopheles literally is stuck here. He might literally just be saying that for the sake of the sales pitch. Faust is really looking the devil square in the eye and being like, well, or a devil and being like, well, what if we made a deal? Like, sir, no. Well, if you wish it, here I stay, on one condition, that the while I with my slights familiar may your moments worthily beguile. Agreed, you have my leave, but mind, your slights are of the pleasing kind. Within this hour, my friend, be sure, you for your senses shall procure more than you heretofore have found within the year's unvaried round. The songs may dainty spirits sing, the lovely visions which they bring are no mere empty glamour, no. Your very small entrance shall be, your palate lapped in ecstasy, your every nerve with rapture glow. No preparation here we need, we're in our places, so proceed. Disappear, disappear, ye dark arches drear. Let the blue sky of heaven look down on us here, the beautiful blue sky with friendliest cheer. Hence, clouds be gone, that gloomily darkle. Lo now anon, little stars sparkle. Me lower suns shine in on us here. Heaven's suns bright in the spirits arraying, in hovering flight are bending and swaying. Souls with a passionate upward arising, aspiring. View them, pursue them, soaring, untiring, and ribbons gay are flashing and gleaming, where lovers stray, musing and dreaming, stray on by grove and meadow, requiting love with return of love, life for life plighting, bower on bower shining, tendrils entwining, grapes in huge clusters piled up profuse, under the wind press spurting their juice, seething and foaming wines gush into rills, o'er the enameled stones rush from the hills, brought into lakes that reflect from their sheen, mountains of breaks that... He sleeps! Oh, why is this in the middle of like bars? He sleeps. Well done, the little airy sprites. So I assume this is Faust and this is Mephistopheles. Mountains and breaks that are mantled in green, and birds of all feather, pure rapture inhaling, sunward are sailing together onto the isles that lie smiling and dreaming, where the bright billows are rippling and gleaming, where we see jocund bands dance on before us, over the meadowlands shouting in chorus, all in the free air, every way rambling, some up the mountains climbing and scrambling, some o'er the lakes and seas floating and swimming, others upon the breeze flying and skimming, all to the sources of life pressing onwards, flushed by the forces that carry them sunward, on to the measureless spaces above them, on where the stars bless the spirits that love them. He sleeps! Well done, ye little airy sprites, you fairly lullabied his wits to sleep. I'm in your debt for these melodious sleights. Thou art not the man, at least not yet, to keep the devil in thy clutch. Around him play with soothing visions from the realm of dream. Across his brain let wild illusions stray, and fool his fancy with their meteor gleam. Ha! Tooth of rat, methinks, would serve me well, to break me upon this threshold spell. Oh no, so he's actually stuck. No need of lengthened conjecture. Conjuration. Hark! These rustles my voice will quickly mark. The master of the rats and mice, of flies and frogs and bugs and lice, commands you straight away to appear, and nibble at this threshold here, where now he smears it o'er with oil. Ha! Here you are, now to your toil. The point that kept me back lies there, just in the front, beside the stair. One nibble more, your task's complete. Now, Faustus, now dream on till next we meet. Am I again befooled? Vanish they so. The throng of spirits that my fancy shaped? Was this the field in a dream, a lying show, and that a poodle which now but escaped? Whew. Okay. So, Faust accidentally invited Mephistopheles into his home, where a pentagram, improperly drawn, basically made it so that Mephistopheles could get in but couldn't get out, and devils are only able to escape the way that they came in. And I thought that at first that was him just doing the sales pitch, which I think that the way he pitched it may have been. But given that after Faust is asleep, Mephistopheles still is like, oh man, I really got to get out here. Come on, rats, eat it for me so I can leave. That strikes me more as like, no, Mephistopheles is actually just kind of like a silly little guy who got trapped and couldn't get out, which is kind of funny to me. So Faust immediately is trying to make a deal. Mephistopheles is like, oh, no, we don't want to make a deal. Don't worry about it. Oh, we can just make it next time. And Faust is like, no, I think that I want to make a deal. And so Mephistopheles puts him to sleep, dips. Faust wakes up and is like, oh, was that all just a dream? And now we are in Act 2. I think I've read the prelude, the prologue, and then all of Act 1. Act 2 is a bit longer, and I've only been going an hour and a half, but at the same time, I think I'll just keep it at Act 2. So, thoughts on Faust thus far? I was really worried with the prologue. I'm not gonna lie. Like straight up, I was just worried that it was not going to be accessible. It was not going to be fun. The prelude, because it was like a Greek chorus. I got the vibes of what it was going for. It was like a Greek chorus, kind of setting the stage for the story. But the prologue where Mephistopheles was kind of like back talking the three high angels and like the Lord himself was very funny to me. Mephistopheles has got some silliness. He's got some nonsense to him. Faust, his main flaw is hubris. His issue is that he believes he's beyond man. He's just a straight up wizard. I will say I was not expecting the wizard battle where he's like what was it? Where he's calling upon oh my gosh, what was it? The Elemental Four, Salamander, Undine, Sylph, Incubus, and then he uses the holy word as like he's in this wizard battle with this like devil that he brought in. Okay, so I'm working on like the creatures TTRPG right now, and it's all like I have a little bit to work on it still, but it's mostly done. My goal is to get it out next week, Thursday, on Christmas, as a present to my community for the holidays and also for my own birthday celebration. But don't worry about that. I want to get out that. I kind of want to immediately start working on another TTRPG. And what I have in mind is I like the idea of sword fighting, like you're from The Princess Bride, Inigo Montoya versus Dread Pilot Roberts, that first duel, where it's all about honor. It's all about respecting your opponent. And now I'm imagining, what if I make a TTRPG system where swordsmanship is all about honor, and then like magic is all about calling upon the spirits of like the Elemental Four, like invoking the word, and it's all based off classic romanticized versions of history, right? So it's the idea of you have your marshals who gain bonuses when they hand their opponent their weapon so they may examine it. They gain bonuses when their opponent knows their name. Right? So it's the idea of like, when you fight someone, the first thing you do is you bow, you shake hands, you introduce yourselves, you tell one another what like your heraldry is, who you hail from, what your goal is, and then you might examine each other's weapon. You might show one another your armor and allow them to see weaknesses within it. And the whole goal is that it's just like the fantasy is this romanticized past where like honor was in every aspect of life. And then wizards is like you have to learn the names of spirits of the world that you can then invoke in order to like like here as you came in flash and flame salamander, flow out and be seen a rushing stream undine, blaze on the air a meteor fair sylph, us with untimely help befriend incubus. And it's just like wizard battles with seals. I think that would be really cool. But I have to focus on this first one first, and I'll probably need to immediately do an update like a month afterwards because the community's going to playtest it, ideally. But yeah, so if you were here in chat, thank you so much for being here. If you are a lurker and or a VOD watcher, I appreciate you. If you're someone that is watching this after this goes public, because this was initially a members only chat, let me know what your thoughts on Faust are, because I love just how silly this is thus far. I was worried about it, and now I'm closer to enjoying it. I have a better picture of what's going on. I know the broad strokes of the Faust mythos, but I actually don't know what the beats are going to be. So I assumed at the end of Act 1, he was just going to like sell his soul, and then the rest of it was going to be an exploration of like what it feels like to have unmanageable power, and then the delving into of what selling your soul means, and then Faust's inevitable regret, and then going off to hell. But apparently some stories have him be redeemed. Some have him like ruin the life of a young woman, and then this young woman is one of the people who redeems him. So I'm curious to see how this actually goes. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for swinging by. I am going to go and be productive because that's what I have to do after reading streams. Enjoy yourself. Have a lovely day, evening, night, whatever. And take care of yourself. Bye-bye.